All right, you still there, Ree?
Yep.
All right. Hey, everybody out there. I'm here with our free Concert Friday artist, Ree Boado. You can see this picture of her on our poster, but here she is in real life. And Ree, how you doing this morning?
I'm doing pretty good, Dave. How are you
Good.
doing?
I'm doing great. I love that art behind you. Is that you? Is that your stuff?
It is. It's some of my dabblings.
Yeah, cool. I set up in front of instruments to make me look cooler, but those of you I don't even play the fiddle. I tried. I thought I'm so good at, guitars and stuff. I figured I'll just learn the fiddle one day. It's really hard. It's really hard, but I couldn't just let that lie sit back there. But so I'm excited to have you, and thank you so much for saying yes to our free concert Friday.
Yeah,
And,
you're welcome.
and maybe like 10 people would remember that you and I played a show together in Spokane. I don't know, 7, 8 years ago at the Big Dipper. And so it's just great to have you. My wife and I are huge fans of your music, and especially you and your husband, David. So just for the benefit, everybody's going to be tuning in. I wanted to interview you so they could get to see your face and get to know your heart a little bit, and tell us a little bit about your music. But why don't you fill everybody else in on just your basics, where you're from, where you're living now, your husband, your life, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah. All right. So I'm originally from Phoenix, Arizona, but moved to, I'm currently in Columbia, Tennessee by way of China, Nashville, and now we're here for now. So Columbia, Tennessee is a little south of Nashville, about 50 miles. So yeah, we love it here. It's
And
beautiful.
can you rattle off some of the places you've lived the last couple years, you and David?
Yeah, so Phoenix most of my life, most of my marriage.
Yeah.
And then we moved to China for about a year and a half, and Southeast China, so about 2 hours north of Hong Kong, which was great. We could just pop over there and feel like we had a little taste of America once in a while, because
Yeah.
it's a little bit more like, it's like an Asian New York or something. But so China, and then we moved to Nashville for about a year and a half, and then we moved to Columbia.
You're in Columbia. And what do you got a window by you? What's it look like out there in Columbia?
Oh, let me see if I can
You don't
take
have
you
to show
guys.
us if it's too
Give you a
complicated.
tour. I don't know if you can see.
Oh,
Super green,
that looks
very
like
green,
small town USA over there.
right?
That's,
It is.
you like it
We
compared
do. Yep. It's
compared
like,
to the adobe and stucco of Phoenix? Do you like these old houses and grass?
oh, for sure. Yep, exactly. Growing up around cactus and
Yeah.
rock gardens and all that stuff, it's like, it's so nice to see just greenery everywhere. It's so pretty.
So I remember I had just started as the worship guy at Crossroads in Scottsdale, Arizona, and you came up and talked to me after one of the services, and you blessed me so much because I remember, you probably won't remember this, but I'd started and I just loved Jesus, loved worshiping, loved original music, and it was kind of a cookie cutter, situation before I got there where they played the hits and it was kind of one of those see and be seen kind of churches at the time, the group, that we were in, and you just came up and it was so clear. It was so refreshing. You just loved Jesus. And I was expecting you to be terrible because your heart was so good. I was just going to be, she's going to get up here and just suck. Um, and it was just so cool. You just had such a talent. And that, when I saw how your talent blossomed, and maybe it was already all developed, but it was so cool that you were just so humble to be on my team and, be a part of the team and not knock me over and take over because you're so good. But so I don't know if you remember that encounter in the old chapel at, Scottsdale Bible, but you came up one of the first days, Brenda and I were there, and you were just kind of like, basically like, I get it. I get what you're trying to do. And I want to help. And so Brenda and I just love you guys. We think you and David are a perfect match. You seem like really good for each other. Nobody's perfect, of course, but just you seem like a really good, but you do seem almost like a perfect match of strengths and weaknesses and stuff like that. So, see, I promised I would talk too much. Let's get back to you. So that's how I met you. I remember once you tried to give me vocal lessons, and that was a horrible thing because I just like to yell on key. And you were in our flock group for a bit, But I didn't know your backstory. When did you start playing piano and guitar and realize that you could sing on key? Did you grow up in a musical family? How did that all start? Way back.
Yeah, well, I did not really grow up in a musical family, but I will say, I guess, I mean, not a traditional music family in my mind.
Right.
My sister loved to sing. One of my older sisters, she was always singing and she was in the choir. And so she was about 4.5 years older than me. So I think I saw that to some degree.
And
And then my mom,
is that your sister Amy or another one?
no, Amy's my sister-in-law. I don't know
Oh,
if you know.
that's right. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Keep
My brother's.
rolling. I suck at this. Keep going.
So my sister Becky loved to
Gotcha.
sing, and so I would hear her singing a lot when
Yeah.
we were growing up. And then my dad kind of sang in the shower a little bit, and he had somebody who was like a professional church soloist or something in his family somewhere along the lines. We heard that once, but
Wow, that's a thing.
I know, right? And then my mom liked to sing harmony, and then she liked to play the accordion. And me and my brother would be like, "Put that thing away." We hated it when we were kids. We were like, "That is so nerdy."
To have one now and be able to play it though.
Right, now it's kind of cool. It's like when I got older, but it's like as kids, we were like, "Put that away." It's embarrassing.
Yeah, I sold one a couple years ago to buy Brenda a present or something, and I love Brenda, as you know, but I thoroughly regret selling my accordion.
Sad.
Only $100.
Oh.
So, did I cut you off?
Oh no, but yeah. So I mean, just so a little bit. I guess there were singers in my family, but nobody was an instrumentalist.
Yeah. How'd you pick up guitar or piano?
So yeah, I didn't really feel, I wasn't really around musicians growing up, even friends like really that could play. And just I would kind of ask my parents for lessons, but just kind of money was always the issue, so that never happened. So I kind of didn't really think I could just like pick up an instrument and try, you know. So I just didn't have that like mindset. So it wasn't until college that I took some like class piano and learned a few, like just a little bit of the basics.
Yeah.
But even with that, it's like they don't teach you to play chords so that
Yeah.
you can like, actually play songs, and you're just
Yeah.
like learning these little ding 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 little
Yeah.
dinky melodies, and you're like, that's not gonna help me. So it was really like after college that I kind of experimented, and David encouraged me to get like a legit keyboard.
Yeah.
He's like, you don't need to get some piece of junk. It won't be encouraging to want to play it. So I'm like, okay. But I felt like I don't even know what I'm doing. I shouldn't get this like $800 keyboard, you know, whatever.
Was that the purple Kurzweil? Was that your
That
first?
was the purple Kurzweil. I don't have that anymore, but yeah, that's what it was. Totally.
Still have mine.
Oh, I forgot you have one. Oh, man, that's amazing.
Time, that was like the best, you know, if you didn't want to break the bank.
For sure, yeah. It was a good keyboard.
Yeah, I like to play normal sounds and you don't need robot helicopters. That's the keyboard.
Seriously. But it was such a beast to move if you had to like take it anywhere. You're like, oh my gosh, this is insane.
Oh, that's so interesting. So you didn't start playing till college, till like your late
really
20s.
Truly like after college is when I kind of started. So when I first started, and I didn't start writing songs till after college either. Yeah. It was literally like, I didn't think I could write songs. But I was in the shower one day and just started singing this melody and these words. And I'm like, what? Like, I think I'm writing a song. What? So I got out and I like wrote down the words or like recorded it or something. And then I had a friend, actually, you know who helped me? Dave Maloof. You know Dave Maloof.
I remember him.
He helped me because I knew him from the worship team. He helped me put like chords to it. Yeah. And then I was like, cool, I have a song. Like I literally just wrote a song. That's sweet. And then from there, you remember that?
Yes. Not the Dave Maloof part, but I remember you coming with a song like, I wrote one.
Yes, and then we did one of my, like a worship song that I wrote. Because I think in the beginning I was writing worship songs. And then it kind of morphed into some other things of like, I think dumping my life out on the page. Which was for. Yes, for sure. And it was good because it kind of, I needed it. It was like therapeutic for me. So it was kind of this little outlet that came to me sort of later in life. And I really think it has a lot to do with just my childhood was not, it was one where like you're on guard a lot. So you don't feel the freedom to be creative, I think, in that environment. So I feel like my creativity sort of blossomed later in life because of that.
Yeah.
You know? Totally. So yeah, so I didn't play piano until like after college. And then I joined a band at about 25, I think I was roughly. And that's kind of late to join a band too, you know. And it was like a rock band. It was totally different. I had just been singing worship music or singing at weddings or singing at
Yeah.
random stuff, you know.
Yeah.
And then I joined this rock band and I was like, okay, this is stretching me. But actually all the guys were Christian guys. I actually found it on some website online.
Yeah.
And thought, let me just try. And yeah, and then from there, I mean, I was slowly kind of writing songs and finding chords and learning chords on my own a little bit.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, and then after that band kind of disbanded, we did some cool stuff and had some cool shows. We played at Crossroads a couple times, I think. And I was sort of finding myself as an artist, like figuring out,
Yeah.
can I fit this like rock role? Is this me? Or like, I just was figuring things out and I was experimenting and trying things. And that was good for me because it kind of brought out the angst that I think I needed to get out actually. So it was a little outlet for like getting out sort of that side of me.
Yeah. It's good for David and good for everyone else that you were getting out the music.
Right, exactly. So so there was that. And then I think when I was about 28, 29, 29, I think I was 29. The band kind of, it didn't work out. We kind of ended up going our separate ways. And then I was heartbroken because all these songs, I was writing the melody and lyrics and they were writing the music, but it was like, I can't do anything now with all these cool songs that we wrote and haven't recorded yet. And I was just like, nah. So I was like, okay, I got to get better on an instrument so that I don't have to rely on a band. And so from there, I started practicing piano and writing more for about a year. And then I decided to kind of branch out and just kind of put together a show. And then I eventually joined this other band, just like playing, singing backup and playing keys for a while, and did that for almost a year. And then started my own band where I was writing all the songs. And then just kind of kept progressing from there, to a few different bands. And then I didn't pick up the guitar until I was like 30 years old. Yeah. That's why I'm like kind of stuck.
I feel like you have a real unique sound. And I wonder if it is that late start, you know, that you're not, you know, you're not pretending to be the Beatles in your bedroom mirror at 14 or, you know, like it really did feel like it just kind of came out of nowhere, had its own sound to it.
Totally.
Yeah. I haven't met a lot of people. You know, there's always the guy wearing the Mexican poncho who learns the guitar in his dorm room. There's that guy, but he doesn't usually go anywhere. So I haven't met a lot of people that started as late as you did. That's really different. Yeah. I mean, I just wonder, like you said, if you just felt beat down or pigeonholed, you know. My family is very supportive. I don't know if I ever bragged to you about 9 brothers and sisters and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's right.
But yeah, there was no art going on, you know. It was all, I mean, and everybody's really cool. So if anybody in my family was watching this, nobody beat poor Davy down, you know, but it just wasn't like even in my mind till I found a Beatles cassette in the basement at 12 years old when my brother went to join the circus. And I'd always loved music, and I found this Beatles tape, and that's what just changed my entire worldview. You know, this is before I knew Jesus, and it was just like music. It's right. And so, but yeah, it's just, it was not as, and that happens a lot, you know, in families. There's different people, different personalities. Do you think you get more excited? It sounds like you covered most of this, but do you get more excited about the lyrics or about the melody, or the, you know, what the sound of a song when you're writing?
I would say typically the lyrics, but sometimes the sound, like the vibe.
Yeah, totally. I agree.
I think that's I kind of lean that way. Yeah. If it gives a certain vibe.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah, and that's really indefinable, and sometimes it's frustrating if someone's listening to your music and they care about the words or they care about the music, and really it's the whole thing. It's the way it makes you feel, and then, you know, the lyrics aren't even going to work if it doesn't draw you in some way. Do you feel like songs are delivered to you on a golden platter? Do you feel like you got to work really hard? A little bit of both?
Yes, the Lord like divinely inspires me for every song. That'd be amazing.
Yeah. Some of them come like that, though. So I don't know. Are they real hard work for you, or give us a look behind the curtain?
Yeah, it depends. I would say that it depends. So I feel like I'm a stronger vocalist, like, because I've been singing my whole life.
Yeah.
That was something I did for a lot, and then I've studied that a lot more
Yeah.
than instruments, basically. So
Right.
I feel like I'm a stronger vocalist and lyricist,
Yeah.
and then I find something vibey that can work, that works. But I often start with the instruments first
Yeah.
because of that, I think.
Mhm.
So if I can find something cool, like a little kind
Yeah.
of repetitive, vibey thing that's interesting,
Mhm.
then the lyrics and melody tend to come more quickly.
Yeah.
I've noticed.
That's
So,
cool.
oh, it's raining now.
Oh, it's
I heard something,
it's raining here too.
Is it? That's awesome.
What are the odds?
But yeah, I would say, so I mean, is it a hard process? I'm going back to your question.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, thank you.
Sometimes, I mean, there's songs that I've had for like years, and I'm like, I'll go back to them once in a while because I'm just like, man, that's still
That's
a
funny.
good song. Like it has something, but why can't I finish it for nothing? And I'll rewrite like a bridge like a million times.
Yeah.
So some of them are just literally on the shelf forever, and I'm just like, who knows?
Yeah.
But sometimes when that happens, I feel like there's been times where it took me a long time to finish a song, but then it's like I realize, oh, I'm going through this now, whatever this thing was that's, you know, the theme of the song. I'm going through it now, and I think I needed to experience something to really understand what it needed to say and how it really needed to kind of wrap up. So that happens sometimes too, which is kind of cool. It's like, oh.
I'm totally nerding out when we talk about songwriting. I love it. I love knowing what makes everybody tick. I hope someone is watching this, some kid or somebody. You know, there is no point in playing other people's songs unless you are an Elvis impersonator or something like that, that just express yourself through music and let people know, especially if you have faith in Jesus. You know, people need to hear your take on that. Brendan and I talk about you a surprising amount. You know, you come up yearly. Knowing a little bit about your life story and what you've battled through in your childhood, and then finding out what you've been through lately, which you barely mentioned in your concert that we're going to see on Friday. But would you be willing to share, when you share those things in concert, it's just very powerful. And would you be willing to share a little bit about your background and be as vague or as specific as you'd like? But
yeah,
we admire that you've had a lot of pain, and if I remember correctly, you probably choose the words carefully, neglect or abuse or just weirdness growing up, but you have clung to the Lord, and you know, I know you're not perfect, and I'm sure there's lots of things we don't know about where you've struggled, but that you just always clung to the Lord. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Yeah. So I grew up in a really weird family. I'm pretty sure most people feel like their family was weird, but yeah. So, I mean, I'll just be direct because sometimes I just throw it right out there to just give people an idea of like, kind of an idea without all the specifics, but gone through a lot of counseling over the years, and counselors have you know, sort of diagnosed my dad, and they said it sounds like he was probably bipolar and schizophrenic. Mm-hmm. So he was, you know, very spiritually abusive, believed he was a prophet of God and all this really wild stuff, and would have weird revelations and all this stuff. So I had one counselor actually say that she would define the way I grew up was like a family cult. Yeah. So it wasn't like there were followers outside of that, but it was kind of like our family, and it was sort of this family secret. It was really weird and super weird. So just a lot of like untangling. It was like Christian though. So it was like Christ was infused. Yeah. And I still to this day, so my dad died 12 years ago of cancer. I still to this day, I wonder, I'm like, where is he? Is he with the Lord? How does God, what does he do with that? Like if it truly was some mental illness, or, you know what I'm saying? Or issues born out of his own trauma, or like, what does God do with that? Like, I mean, he did a lot of wrong, you know, but it's like at the same time, he professed Jesus. Right. He said that he saw a vision of the Lord on the cross, and he was delivered of smoking and drinking when he was in his like late 30s. Yeah. I don't know. It's like, did that happen? I'm not even sure, because so much other weird stuff came out of his mouth that was complete bogus crap. You know? So it's like, I don't even know. I don't know. But I mean, I do thank my parents for introducing us to Christ.
Yeah.
because they did, even in their brokenness.
Yeah.
And even though they didn't continue to go to church past when I was about 13, and I continued on to go with friends, and that was good. And I'm super grateful, because that age group, you know what I mean? It's like getting a lot of trouble. I mean, I had some pretty bad, rough friends at school sometimes, but at least I sort of had the offset of like some Christian friends, and I was learning and getting in the Word. And but yeah, if it wasn't for that, I mean, I would say about 14, 15, well, really, I feel like I had a relationship with the Lord since I was young, and it felt genuine. And I feel like He carried me through a lot of stuff when my dad would rage and just be kind of a psycho, and I'd be crying in my room or whatever would happen. It was like there was still like the presence of God. And honestly, I'm one of 4 kids, and all 4 of us feel that way. Like we're all believers, and that's shocking.
Yeah.
It's shocking to come out of that. And actually, I went to a Jewish counselor for a little while about 12 years ago, right when my dad was dying of cancer. He was bringing up a lot of trauma stuff.
Sure.
I was having panic attacks, and I was trying to figure out how do I deal with this. So she was just like on my insurance plan or something, but she had all this experience with schizophrenics. And so she had like an intense, like her resume. And I was like, okay, this lady's awesome. I'm just going to go to her. Well, she was Jewish, and which was interesting. I usually went to Christian therapists, but it was a cool experience. I did learn a lot from her. But I just remember she was this older lady with these glasses like down on the end of her nose. She's just like sitting back, like making notes as I'm telling her my story the first time. And then she just looks up and she goes, "And you still have a faith?"
Yeah.
She just looked at me, literally like shocked.
Yeah. Yeah.
She was kind of like, most people run the other way.
Yeah.
Who've been through something like what you've been through.
I would like to interject that that's how it should be. It's not God's fault what you or anyone else has gone through, and He loves you, and He cares so deeply about us. So I've got a couple pet things that I just love, and I love hearing when somebody's been through the ringer, especially religiously or whatever, and they've realized somehow through God's help that it's about God and it's about Him, and that He's not the author of evil and damage, but that He is a healer and a restorer. And so just to interject, I guess I'd want, Captain Obvious here, if anybody's watching, I want them to draw the line from what you said to what they could do, that they could cling to the Lord, and that it's not easy, and it might involve a counselor, and it might involve, things that you wish it was easier, but it might involve lots and lots of time, or realizing what a sinner you are and that you're not perfect. So continue. And then I was shocked just when I was looking you up a couple months ago. So I was planning to have some live concerts, to start a concert thing in our church, concert series. Before all this happened, I was looking you up, and I was just shocked to learn what you'd been through recently. Would you be willing to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, I'll probably cry. But so my husband and I have been married almost 20 years. In September, it'll be 20 years. And no children, no living children until 2018. Beginning of 2018, we got pregnant. And we were just like, what? A baby? We were about to become foster parents to like teenagers or something. And so we were like pretty surprised, because we just we had never tried to do IVF or really totally look into it, other than kind of timing things and doing what we could, we just kind of had it come to terms and accepted, like, if God wants to give us a child, He'll give us a child. And so in the, I think in my late 30s, I was like 37, 38, I actually started asking God for a child. Like I started to feel like I wanted a child more. And then I got pregnant when I had just turned 40. And I was like, what? Like, I'm this old mom, really? But I didn't care. I was like, feel healthy, and I was excited. And so everything perfectly fine, pregnancy. But then our daughter, after she was born at 42 weeks, she basically stopped breathing after 45 minutes. And nobody knew why. She seemed perfectly healthy. She was nursing. She was everything. She was crying. Everyone's like, oh, had left the room. Well, they were able to resuscitate her, but we had to let her off life support about 7 days later. So it was absolutely devastating, because
course.
you know, having a child is like the most amazing miracle you can ever witness, right? So I'm going to get teary now. But, you know, it's like the highest joy I've ever experienced.
Yeah.
And then followed by like the lowest like devastation of like, really?
Right.
You know, and in that moment, I honestly, in that 24 minutes that they were trying to resuscitate her, I just kept talking with, I was devastated, but I was talking with God, and I was mad, and I was so mad. And I just said, you know, why are you taking my daughter? So I was angry. I was really angry at him. And that was my first reaction, you know? And then that showed me later, you know, as I kind of over the months to come, and like after we had to let her go, it just showed me, it opened something up. Like, okay, that was my first response. Yeah. I still have that deep inside, this thought that everything good gets taken from me, or that it's God's fault somewhere, you know? Yeah. So I was like, okay, so I was trying to sift through that over the next coming months. Like, wow, okay, God, like right before I had her, I was feeling like closer than I ever felt to God. I was feeling and sensing his love for me so much, feeling like I was really learning to hear his voice and things like that. And then it was like, whew, sometimes just these life things happen. They're so devastating. It just literally like throws all your theology out the window, and your faith is just like all scrambled up, and you don't even know what to do with it, because it's like your mind, your heart has so much pain, and it's just absolutely confusing. So it took a while, like for me to like wrestle through that. And I still have my moments where, because it's been a year and a half now. Yeah. And I still have my moments sometimes where I'm just still like, but God, it's that whole like, okay, God is sovereign over everything, right? Yeah. So does it mean he kind of made it happen because he has some better plan? Yeah. So does he like hurting us? Because, you know what I'm saying? You go through this whole like chain of events, and or did he allow it to happen? But yet, wait, he's in control. Wait, he gives miracles to some people. And it's a big like cluster mess of like trying to understand. Yeah. And I really believe that everybody has to wrestle through that stuff with God on their own. Uh-huh. I really do. Yeah. And I mean, after losing a child, I really feel for people who have walked away from the Lord because of some kind of major tragedy. Like I feel for them. I do, because I get it. Like when you have that much pain, you can feel like God abandoned you. Yeah. But it's not true. It's like we're in this world where babies die. When you look at the statistics, it's happening. Yeah. Tragedies are happening everywhere, all around us. We're literally in this world that's just a massive challenge to live in sometimes. Yeah. And it's just reality. Like horrible things are happening all the time. Yeah. And that doesn't mean God is doing it. Mm-hmm. So it's like, I heard this other lost mama just say something recently that something helped her. She's had multiple miscarriages, and just is just beyond herself as to what's going on and why. And she said that she broke her knee the other day. And when she broke her knee, it was like, for some reason, it was this metaphor for her where she just was like, oh, I broke my knee because I slipped on the ground because it was raining. But then she was like, she realized she didn't blame God for that. Yeah. Well, God's in charge of the rain. You know, God could have stopped that, you know, and she had this like little epiphany, I guess, is like, stuff happens in life, and I'm not blaming God for that. Yeah. Why am I blaming God for infertility? Yeah. So it was just really interesting. And I was like, man, that's good. But we do that all the time. We do it because we're just hurt. And I think the truth is we're so mad, and we don't know how to express that. And we want someone to blame. Like, someone needs to pay for this. This is an injustice. Wow. We should be mad about stuff like that, right? But it's like it's like misplaced anger. Yeah. Yeah. It's placed towards God because we don't know what to do with it. Right. And we don't know how to express it. Fortunately, he can handle it. And he treats us like his child when we do that, you know, and I just really appreciate you sharing that. And I know that's not easy. And I want to give you a moment, you know, I know. So just anyone who's connecting with Ree, she's got some resources on YouTube that are new for women and men, I suppose, too, going through things like this. Is that pretty easy to find just under your name? Or it's called Gardens from Graves. Mm-hmm. And if you search Gardens from Graves, you should be able to find it. It's pretty new though, so I don't know how searchable it is yet. I'm not sure.
We'll figure it out. Maybe we'll link it to our page this weekend and help people find it. And then you are working on a book, which I think more just, I just want to let people know that's coming, but it's probably a long ways from being a finished product,
it's not that long. It's
cool.
I'm at 26,000 words and I'm aiming for 35 to 40. So yeah, hopefully I'm going to say maybe a while. It could be like 6 to 12 months, maybe.
You know what I mean? Just the whole,
It's not ready now.
You'll email it to people if they want it. But so I just want people to know about that. And then where does your music live out on the internets?
Okay. I mean, they can see quite a bit of the music on boado.com. And then I've got some stuff up on iTunes too. I think I just have one album up there right now.
Yeah. And then I was just wondering, do you have a guitar around anywhere? I've kept you here way longer than I promised. But
yeah.
Grab a guitar.
Oh, look at this. No.
Oh.
Well, yes, I do. Yeah. So you want to?
I did notice that though. What is that with the weird pick guard and the?
Oh yeah, I don't know.
What brand?
It was like a kind of a play off of the like a classical guitar. We saw this classical guitar look where it had one on each side like that, the white.
Yeah.
We just saw somebody with that once, and we were like, "That's kind of cool."
Well, it's like Elvis down here. It looks like an old 50s style with that to me.
Yeah, it's just kind of fun. Just something different, I guess.
What brand is it for all the nerds out there?
It's that one I've had for years. It's David's. Technically, it's the Breed Love.
Oh, I didn't even recognize it.
Yeah.
We have had only Breed Love artists on our Free Friday concert series so far. Isn't that so weird? They used to be the greatest, and now they don't make such a great guitars, at least the cheap ones. But
oh, they don't? I didn't know that.
But they used to be, as you know. So anyways, how many people tuned out when I started talking about guitars for 10 seconds there? What are you going to play for us? Just give us a taste. It's not going to sound great over Zoom, so just give us a little taste of one of the songs.
Yeah, let's see. So do you want me to play one from the concert or just a different one?
I want you to do whatever you want to do. Give us something that makes us go like, I'm going to watch that Friday night. I'm going to see what this lady's all about.
Okay, so one from okay. I'll give you one from that. Okay. Let's see. I think I'll do Still Beating. Yeah, so just play a little tiny bit. Where do we go from here? Caught in the muck of a paceless fear. Oh, 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 oh. An island on the edge, falling away from the words you said. Oh, 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 oh. Breathe in, breathe out. There's a reason your heart's still beating, even when all you feel is bleeding.
I love it. That was awesome.
Thank you. Thanks, Dave.
I think I like that better than the version that's in the concert. That sounded good. That sounded really, really good. Yeah.
Thank you. Cool. That one is on iTunes actually too. So
they're gonna have to. It is on.
That one is. Yeah.
Cool.
Well,
thank you so much. I kept you a long time, but it was really fun reconnecting with you and looking forward to God using what you have to say through your songs on Friday night with our church and anyone else that'll tune in and watch. And have an awesome day, Ree. See you later.
Thank you, Dave. We'll see you guys.
Bye.